The Hunger Games, Mockingjay, Part 2. Longest title ever, kind of a long film as well. This film is a film by Francis Lawrence and stars the likes of Jennifer Lawrence, Josh Hutcherson, Liam Hemsworth, and this is one of the last times we see Philip Seymour Hoffman on the screen. So, The Hunger Games, Mockingjay, Part 2 is obviously Part 2 of a larger trilogy, which is technically Part 4, where we follow the Hunger Games and we follow this place of Pan which is this dystopian, post-apocalyptic society where there are districts that are divvied up into 12 districts, actually 13 districts, who all serve the capital, and the districts are now uprising against the capital, and this is the dramatic conclusion of that story. The problem I have with this film, and a lot of just two-part films, is the first part almost seems like a wash. Part 1 is basically the build-up and, hey, let's get all of the necessary story arc stuff out of the way so we can have one big epic battle at the end. Mockingjay Part 1 and 2 actually avoid that pretty well, a lot better than some other Part 1s and Part 2s like the Harry Potter films. But it does still kind of have that thing where I watched this with my wife Ashley, and immediately about 5 minutes in, we both kind of looked at each other and said we probably should have watched Part 1 again before we came and saw Part 2, because they just literally kick off like moments after Part 1 ends. So if you are going to go see this film, I would definitely recommend re-watching The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 before you see Part 2. Obviously, if you have not seen Part 1 or any of the other films, this film will make zero sense to you. This is not one of those films where it is another adventure for these people. This is the conclusion of a big adventure. So a lot like other films that chronicle, whether it's a book or anything along those lines, this is a definite film that you need to see the other films, or this one will literally make zero sense whatsoever. That is kind of a knock against it. I know that a lot of people are going to say, well, it's a trilogy or a quadrilogy. Is that a thing? But is the fourth movie in a set. Of course you'd watch the other ones, but I do think that standalone by itself there should be some qualities where you can just watch the film and enjoy, and this one doesn't really have that. You aren't really introduced to many new characters, kind of just see all these characters kind of come to their full conclusion, which a fan of the book and a fan of the movie so far will love to kind of see that come about. But you're not really introduced to anything new. It's just sort of, let's finish this off. If you haven't read the books and you don't know how it ends, it keeps you on the edge of your seat. It is a very entertaining film. The story does a great job of bringing you along. But the biggest thing I would probably complain about is, and once again, this seems like a silly complaint, but there's nothing new about it. You don't meet anyone new. There's nothing new or exciting, but it's just sort of the resolution of what you have been watching and following along with these past few years with these films, which is great. It ends very well. It puts it together, wraps a nice little bow on it, and concludes the film franchise very well. But it in itself is not that great of a film. So overall, I am going to give The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 a C+. It was a good film, good wrap up to the Hunger Games trilogy and series, but it just by itself, standalone film, didn't blow my mind or do anything that dramatic or fascinating. They didn't do anything super exciting. I will say that it did have a few good twists in it if you don't know where the story is already going because of the books. But besides that, no new characters, no new development, and it kind of just wraps it up nicely, like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're done. So I would recommend, if you've seen the other ones, see this one, but it's not really worth getting into just to see this one. Well, that's it for today. My question for you is, which one of the Hunger Games films was your favorite? Did you have a favorite? Did you like how they kicked it off when they were actually doing the Hunger Games, or even the second one, or part one or part two? Maybe this one was even your favorite. Let me know in the comments down below. Also, feel free to tweet me at my Twitter, RealMattWaz, and let me know what other films I should be reviewing. As always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. I'm Matt, and thanks for watching.